Yeah, we are back again. Today we will do the first three Leica M models, the M3, the M2, and the M1. In the Olympics podium, you got the gold, silver, and the bronze. So 1, 2, 3 come first. But in the case of Leica, it is 3, 2, 1 in the chronology. 1954, Leica came out with this famous rangefinder M3. So the M2 and M1 was not made yet, so put it one side. So we got this iconic Leica rangefinder camera, the M3. And all other rangefinder are compared to this one. This is the gold standard. So we have this one, they're in the box. The first time I see it in the box, I see the camera itself, I haven't seen the box, so yeah, this box. And then the papers and the camera. There, you got the camera here. So from a screw mount Oscar Barnard camera, screw mount, smaller, then it evolved into the rangefinder bayonet mount, M3. So it has a bayonet mount, four claw bayonet. So as usual, clock focal plane shutter, 1 second to 1000, and there were a few variations. This particular one is a double stroke. So you need to wind the lever twice to advance the film by 1 frame. So now it has a swing out door to help you in the loading. So you have to wind twice, then you can click. And now the take up spool. So because of this swing door, there is no need for you to trim the leader anymore. So you just put the cassette, as long as you follow this template, pull the leader over here. But before you do that, you have to slip the leader into this take-up spool under the spring. Then you just put it in. So once you put it in, close the door, and you advance it, make 2 blank exposure, and then the third one, you are ready to go. So when you mount the lens, this lever here is the frame line selector. It's automatic. So when you put a 50 lens, this lever will stay in the middle at the 12 o'clock. So it will show the 50 mm frame. If you put a 90 mm lens, it will come over here, nearer to the lens, and it will show you the 90 mm frame. And then if you go over to this side, you put 135. So the frame lines are 50, 90, 135. For flash contact, they have their own special contact. If not, then you need a little nipple adapter to convert it to the modern one. So they have 2 contacts, one for flash bulb, one for electronic flash. And rewind, like the screw mount, you pull it out and then turn. But before you turn, you release the gear. That will free the take-up gear, then you can turn. This particular one has what we call a different type of strap lock, not the typical strap lock like this. This one, over time, they call it the Buddha's ear, because the Buddha ear was very big. So this is a Buddha ear. And the rangefinder patch here is a standard rectangular patch. But on some model, there is a little notch on top and a small notch at the bottom. So the outline looks like a very crude version of a Batman logo. So rectangular box with a notch on top and a smaller notch at the bottom. Now they serve a purpose. Those are the built-in depth of field parameter indicator. So when you put a lens 50 mm and you set it to f16, the notch on top bigger, as long as the double image does not exceed the space of the notch, you are within the depth of field. If you put 5.6, then you look at the bottom notch, a smaller one. Again, as long as the double image don't exceed the notch, you are within the depth of field. So it's a very ingenious way to check the depth of field instead of looking at the scale on the lens. So this has been made very successful. They made many sets. Even Canon or Nikon, good as they make, their sales number never reached as near as the Leica. The first round they managed to do about 100,000 pieces. Then they repeat another round. So it was very successful, even though expensive. Now, when this was being produced, there were some requests from the buyers. He said, is there a way for us to have another camera scaled down a little bit so that we don't have to pay so much? So Leica listened to them, and they came out with this. This is 1954. So 1957, they came out with this M2. So of course, by that time they changed the packaging, so it's no more the cardboard box. So they use this. So they have the M2. From far, they look the same. Maybe for those who with a keen eye will see that here there's a frosted window for the frame line, and then the frame counter, instead of a frame counter here, you got a dial on top. There's a frame counter. Those are the two main difference. And inside the camera, there are also some changes. On the Leica M3, it's easy for you to view the 50, 90, 135 frame. Anything longer, you need an external viewfinder. Anything wider, you need a viewfinder. So for those who like to have a 35mm frame, 35mm film view, you don't have the 35 frame on this camera. So there were two solutions. One, put the external viewfinder on top, or you order the specially made 35 lens for the M3. So you got the lens attached a little goggle. The goggle will cover these two windows that gives you the 35mm view. So this is for M3. So in the case of the M2, they changed the frame line a little bit. So now you got a 35, 50, and 90. And this one, the frame line only appear one at a time. There's no confusion, not like multiple frame appear. So at any one time, you only see one frame. So it's either a 35, 50, or a 90. So those are the changes. This one, part of the cost-cutting measure, they put a manual reset frame counter. So you have to turn it manually to reset. It's a small inconvenience. It's so important. Actually, as far as the winding is concerned, once you reach the last frame, you can't go, that's it. Then you just rewind. But otherwise, construction-wise, it's the same, identical. So it's no cutting corner in the quality, is the same construction. So you have this, the M2. So M2, also very good. Then a little later, 1959, they came out with this M1. So for the new M owner, they will be confused. They will normally, you think M1 come first, then M2 and M3. No, it's M3, M2, and M1. M is thus the alphabet for the German word Messsucher. Messsucher means rangefinder. And then the three frame lines. So that's how they got the M3. Now M1 is identical to the M2, except there is no rangefinder. So they blank it off. Otherwise, it's identical. And inside the finder is two permanent frames. 35 and 50 appear together, but there's no lever to change. Now, the idea for this camera is to make it for the lab, for the scientific purpose, where they usually mount this camera on some kind of device, microscope or copy stand. So for that kind of work, you don't need a rangefinder. So the rangefinder part is blank off. There's no rangefinder mechanism. However, if you own this camera and you decide to convert it to a M2. You could send it back to the factory, and they retrofit it. They take out the empty things and they put in the rangefinder of M2, and then becomes a M2. For using is practical, but for the collector that is like sacrilege. They want to keep it everything exactly the way it was. So you got this M1 is a scaled down version of the M2. Then you got a M3, and all these three same construction, same engineering, so they all work the same quality of the shutter, loading and everything. Then this loading is easier than the screw mount, but it still takes us some time. So over the time, they came up with an accessory like this. This is a rapid load adapter. So what you do is you do two things. You take out the takeout spool and you put the other takeout spool. And then this one, you push it into the, here, push it, yeah, you push it here. Now with this like this, you now load the film like a M4, like a M6, or like a M7. So you put the film and then you close it. So it's rapid loading. So it's an accessory. So you could do that. It becomes a rapid load. But this is the original take-up spool. So there you have the Leica M3, M2, and M1. Later on we have the M4 and the M5 and the M6 and the M7. But that one is for another time. So today, the three original M's.
Wow.
M3, M2, M1.
Thanks.
Right, welcome.